Manchester United fans. I still cannot believe that match only ended 3-2. From the first whistle, United looked dangerous every single time we pushed forward. Forest simply couldn't cope with the movement, the energy, and especially the creativity coming from Bruno Fernandes. Honestly, this was one of those games where you sit there watching and keep asking yourself the same question over and over again. How have we not scored again? Because the opportunities were non-stop. And the biggest reason for that was Bruno. Every attack seemed to flow through him. Every dangerous moment started with him. The weight of his passing, the quick decision-making, the awareness to spot runs before defenders reacted, it was elite. There are players who get assists because they make simple passes and their teammates do the rest. Then there are players like Bruno Fernandes. Players who actually create the chance itself. That's what made this performance so frustrating and impressive at the same time. Bruno was producing moments that should have easily turned into goals, but United's finishing kept letting him down. There was one moment where he switched the play beautifully into space, completely opening Forest apart. Another time he threaded a pass perfectly into the box, and somehow the finish still didn't happen. You could actually feel Old Trafford waiting for that record-breaking assist. Every time Bruno touched the ball in the final third, the crowd reacted like something special was coming. The anticipation inside the stadium was huge because everybody knew history was right there in front of him. And despite only officially ending with one assist, his influence on the game felt far bigger than the statistics showed. That's what separates top players from average players. The numbers might say one thing, but when you watch the match, you understand who truly controlled everything. Now, while Bruno deserves massive praise, United's attack also showed one of the biggest problems this team still has. The lack of ruthlessness. Because if we're being honest, this match should have been over long before Forest even had hope of coming back into it. United were creating chances at will. Ahmad had moments where he got into dangerous areas but hesitated at the wrong time. Earlier in the season, we saw him playing with confidence, driving directly at defenders, forcing mistakes, and attacking with aggression. But in this game, there were moments where that sharpness just wasn't fully there. One particular attack summed it up perfectly. United broke forward with space opening everywhere. Instead of attacking the defender directly and forcing the issue, the final pass lacked power, lacked precision, and the entire move slowed down immediately. At the highest level, those moments matter. The difference between good teams and elite teams is efficiency. And right now, United are improving creatively, but they still waste too many opportunities in front of goal. Even some of the late-game chances felt easier to score than miss. That's why the final scoreline almost felt misleading. Anyone who watched the game knows United completely could have buried Forest much earlier. But despite the missed chances, there's still something encouraging about what we're seeing. For large periods of this season, United struggled badly to create opportunities consistently. There were games where the attack looked disconnected, slow, and predictable. Now, there's movement. There's energy. There's unpredictability. And Bruno Fernandes is right at the center of all of it. The chemistry between the midfield and attack is slowly becoming more natural. Players are finding pockets of space quicker, transitions are happening faster, and United finally look capable of hurting teams repeatedly when momentum builds. That's why this performance feels important beyond just the result itself. Because even with the frustrations, even with the missed chances, you can clearly see progress in the attacking structure of the team. And if United can add more clinical finishing to performances like this next season, that's when this team becomes genuinely dangerous again. While Bruno Fernandes stole headlines with another masterclass performance, there was another emotional story happening inside Old Trafford that every United fan could feel. Casemiro. The moment he walked out onto that pitch, the reaction from the crowd immediately told you everything. The applause, the noise from the Stratford end, the appreciation from supporters, it felt bigger than just another home game. It felt like fans were saying thank you. Because regardless of the ups and downs during his time at Manchester United, nobody can deny what Casemiro has brought to this club. Leadership, experience, mentality, and above all else, standards. When he first arrived at United, you could instantly see the difference. The midfield suddenly had control, aggression, and composure. He brought that winning mentality from the biggest stages in football, and the entire team improved because of it. Of course, there were difficult moments too. There were periods where injuries slowed him down, performances dipped, and people started questioning whether his time at the top level was finished. Football changes quickly, and once criticism begins, it spreads fast. But this season, Casemiro reminded people exactly who he is. He stepped up in important moments, protected the midfield better, and showed leadership when the squad needed calmness under pressure. That's why the reception he received against Forest felt deserved. And honestly, if this truly was one of his final matches at Old Trafford, it was the perfect way for the fans to recognize him. Now, even though United won the game, there were still warning signs defensively that cannot be ignored. Forest caused problems whenever they attacked directly. Every time they ran at United with speed and power, there were moments where the defensive structure looked vulnerable. Balls played in behind created panic at times, and transitions still remain one of the biggest weaknesses in this side. And this brings up an important conversation about what United still need moving forward. This team lacks explosive attacking power in wide areas. Modern football is brutal against defenders when you have direct wingers who attack aggressively every single time they receive the ball. Players who force defenders backwards immediately. Players who create fear. You watch the top teams across Europe and almost all of them have that profile. United still need more of it. There were moments in this game where the attack slowed down because players hesitated instead of driving forward with confidence. That killer instinct in 1-versus-1 situations still isn't consistent enough. And then there's the midfield conversation. Elliot Anderson showed exactly why clubs are monitoring him closely. His energy, composure, passing range, and ability to progress the ball stood out throughout the match. Some midfielders just look comfortable under pressure naturally, and Anderson had that presence. Even late in the game, he was still delivering dangerous balls into the box with quality. That's why modern midfielders cost so much now. If a player can defend, create, carry the ball, and control tempo, clubs are willing to spend massive money because those profiles are rare. And United absolutely still need reinforcements in midfield if they want to compete consistently at the highest level. But despite the weaknesses, despite the obvious areas needing improvement, this season still feels like progress overall. Massive progress. At the beginning of the campaign, most fans would have probably accepted a top 6 finish and signs of improvement. Instead, United secured 3rd place in Champions League football. That matters. Because rebuilding a football club is not just about buying players. It's about creating momentum, rebuilding confidence, and establishing belief again. And for the first time in a while, it genuinely feels like Manchester United are moving in the right direction. The football is improving. The atmosphere around the club feels healthier. The players look more connected. And supporters are finally starting to believe again. Is the squad complete? No. Does this team still need major upgrades? Absolutely. But there's finally a foundation being built. And if United recruit properly this summer, improve the midfield balance, add more pace in attack, and become more clinical in front of goal, this team could take another huge step next season. So yes, the scoreline was close. Yes, there were frustrating moments. But when the final whistle blew, the bigger picture remained positive. 3 points secured. Champions League football confirmed. Old Trafford alive again. And Manchester United finally looking like a club with direction. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss another Manchester United update right here on United Pulset. Let me know your man of the match in the comments. Was it Bruno Fernandes, Casemiro, or someone else? And most importantly, do you think this United team is finally heading in the right direction? Thanks for watching, Reds, and as always, glory, glory Manchester United.